Welcome back, guys. So I'm going to try to mess with the furnace to this camper. This is a trial and error for me. I have watched hours and hours of some videos trying to figure it out. Just going to try to do some basic maintenance and play around with some things and see if we can get it to start or not. But one of the first things I need to do, right here's our exhaust. I know that's something that needs to be kept clean, kept emptied out. This thing hasn't been used, the furnace hasn't been used in years, I'm guessing, but I don't know if you guys could tell or not. There was at least one hornet's nest, old one, that was back up in there, but it looked like there was another one, thicker, you know, one of the mud dobber type ones. It's like actual mud and stuff, even farther in. So if I believe I could pull this plate off and just pull this entire tube out, I'll have to make sure to get it back in there properly. So that's what I'm gonna try to do now. I think I'm going to be buying a new one of these probably, but that wasn't supposed to come off that way, but and this pipe just inserted into one farther in. In theory, that pipe's supposed to come out, but theories don't always come to fruition. So I decided I was just going to have to make do. So I tried using a small hand vacuum. That didn't seem to do a whole lot of good for me. Then I decided to just go ahead and take the framework of that out, that shell, if you will, which you see right there. That gave me some more access. I tried again with the pipe. It didn't happen. So I went ahead, grabbed the shop vac. I had clearance to get in there with everything, and grabbed the pole to pull out and break up everything inside that tube. I just want to show you guys the shop vac did the trick. I also had like this little rod that I have. Pretty much broke up the mud daubers and then stuck the shop vac in there and vacuumed everything out. I did pretty much everything I could to the exterior with the furnace. Then it was time to move inside the camper, and I decided to start with that shop vac again and just vacuum all the dust and stuff that I could. Okay guys, so the only thing I know about this furnace right now is the way it should work is when you have the propane on, you turn the thermostat on, you have this pilot and the switch here on. The blower should kick in, kind of clear out the system a little bit, let it start blowing for a minute, and then that pilot will light and the gas will light, and that's when it'll start heating up. Couple of things I've noticed from watching a bunch of different videos. This one has this plate over here. This is the only one I've seen like this. Every other one that's open, and I know that's where the heating element is. Obviously we have exhausts. Maybe because they have a vent right here, they just didn't want it blowing out here the front end, and they want it to be diverted otherwise. That was a little weird to me. But anyways, what we get when we try to kick it on is we get a hum for about 10 seconds, and then the breaker, which is right here, and there's a little button, trips. So I don't know about these furnaces, but the two things that the thoughts I have is that there may be something wrong with this breaker. I might look at that and just see if there's anything super obvious. But the thing that I primarily could see, and I don't even know if we have any more problems down the road from that, but I'm like, well, I wonder if that motor is bad, or if that motor's not been used in so long that is bound up and just won't spin for the blower. And that's why it trips, because that motor's trying to go, but it's not going. So I'm probably going to have to take this thing out and pull it out, but I'm going to try to gain access to the sides right now first. And, you know, the motor's kind of far back in there. I'm just going to see if I can find my way and see if I can reach it and if it'll spin and stuff like that. So that's where I'm going to start, is I'm just going to mess with it for a few minutes and see what kind of access I can get. Alright, I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here so that you have a visual. Little bit of good news. The electrical is here with this panel, probably, and it's running underneath, so I believe it comes around to this side. Videos of others working on these I've seen, their wiring was all over here. So I'm going to take a picture of that to try to remember exactly what it looks like before I disconnect, but that's easy access. Of course, here's our propane line right here. And we'll disconnect that. If we do have to take this out, I'm probably going to have to. Here's the exhaust, or the, I'm sorry, not the exhaust, the ductwork that goes through to the bathroom and then back to the back bedroom, I believe as well, if I remember correctly. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. You can reach back there and stuff, but I just decided ultimately, I'm like, you know what, let's just get it out. So I disconnected that exhaust pretty easy, took a picture of the wires, put the wire nuts back on each one, so I only have 3 that I'll have to remember where they go. Surprisingly, that gas line, because who knows how long it's been on, came off extremely easily. 13th, 16th, that was a size wrench to get that furnace. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Like, the first thing of course is going from the outside and that exhaust line, taking that off of this side of your outside of your camper, the exterior, just a few wires, exhaust, and your gas line. And these are kind of self-contained. They seem to be designed to be able to be pulled out and worked on. So let's see if we can get it out. There was plenty of clearance on that right side to pull the furnace out and then detach that duct. So that's what I did. Afterwards, I took some painter's tape and covered up that gas line so that there wouldn't be anything get inside it. I'm gonna mess with this and see if I find any super obvious fixes, and from there, you know, then I'll have to take it back to the camper and test it out. I might have to just buy a brand new motor. I don't know. And I'm not sure how I'll know. Like, I might have to take this thing and hook it back up and then take it off 2 or 3 different times. And that's obviously not going to be a whole lot of fun. But, you know, if I can't... You know what, that was really stuck and then I just broke it free. It'd be something if I literally just fixed it with that. Although, is it ever that simple? Like, there's a lot of resistance for a minute, and then it just broke free and spinning pretty easily at the moment. But anyways, we took that side off. We're gonna, you know, regardless, we're gonna do what we can with this. Dig around, explore it. Oh. All right, so that's what we saw from the exterior. So we cleaned out a bunch of mud daubers there and stuff. Really, that whole area was inconsequential. It was just this exhaust pipe, which that's another thing. I need to get this off. And now that it's out of the camper, I might be able to get it a little easier. I need to get that off so that I can reattach it. I've already been looking for a new faceplate, new exterior plate, and I can't find them. I'm having a very, very difficult time finding them. So there's all kinds of crud just falling out of this as I sit here. So for the fact that it wasn't working, like, for me, that's kind of a good sign, because I'm like, man, if this thing just needed disassembled and messed with and cleaned up, that'd be great. Let's go ahead and disconnect this line here. I think that is where the actual heat, like, we've got a pilot in there, we have a furnace area, and I believe that's where the heat comes up here to the motor. I'm not an expert though, so if you guys are watching this video and you know better than me, correct me. But I believe that's how that works. I think heat comes to this line, then comes into the blower area, and that's where it blows it to the ducts. But I might be totally wrong. That, to me, looks like a problem for sure. I wonder if that right there is our entire sole problem. I'm going to continue to break this thing down, try to my best to remember where everything is and clean the whole insides out. But man,
break the whole thing.
I don't mean, not break. Break it down means take it apart. Actually, I need to take this big piece, throw it in the trash can.
What is it?
That's what makes nests. Hornets make nests in it. All right, you gonna vacuum it?
Yeah, so ladybugs are nice.
Go ahead.
Ladybugs are nice, Dad.
Yep.
Yeah. Because vacuum are pandas nice?
Pandas?
Yeah.
Yeah, pandas are nice.
black and white.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and butterflies. And butterflies.
And butterflies.
I love those cute animals. I want to break it apart too.
We're not breaking it apart. It's called breaking it down.
I want to break it down.
Well, we're just taking...
Does it mean taking down?
Taking it apart is what it means.
You
And we're
like
finding even
tea?
more mud dauber stuff in here. So, as you see though, this spins pretty easily now. Now I'm so curious if this is going to work or not. See, this is exactly what I was talking about. We might have already solved our problem, and I won't know. It's going to be a real pain if I take it back, put everything back together, and then realize I need to buy a new motor for it. This is spinning very easily though. I am going to clean that motor up a little bit. Try to at least.
It can't fit. It needs to stay here.
We are at a spot where I have just been finagling my way through, and I'm not sure how to get this fan blade off without tearing it up. I might try some pliers and gently try to pull it off. But even then, we're still connected to all of this. So I'm feeling like we're getting to a place where I don't really want to get to breaking it down anymore because I'm not an expert on what I'm doing here. So far, it's been fairly simple to walk through it and self-explanatory. I'll show you guys another important component of this furnace. Alright, do you see down there, and I'm trying to reach things, that little switch, that's called a sail switch. Basically, as the fan blows, or the blower blows, the motor spins, the wind's going to catch that and push it, and that is how the furnace knows that it could kick on some heat with the propane, because it doesn't want to be pumping propane into it and get this thing too hot if the blower's not going. My problem wasn't necessarily that today because our motor wasn't even spinning, and I'm really wondering if it was all that stuff that was stuck in there that I broke free. But this is another thing to check out. I mean, you got it apart. Mine is moving very freely. I should stop playing with it. So I believe this one would be totally fine. So I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I am going to try to get down in here, clean out everything as good as I can within the insides of that. I'm gonna still see if I can take this thing apart more. This is the wiring for that sail switch, and this is the housing for it. So if you needed to replace it or something, you just pull these off and take it out and get a new one, I'm sure. But again, I'm not going to mess with that today. So now I guess it's time for me to move on and see what else I can do here. It should be noted that I'm not a propane expert, I'm not a furnace expert, or a camper expert. I've never worked on one of these before, so I could be doing it completely wrong and not knowing. So take that as you will. Don't take this video as advice for how you should do something, or at least if you're going to do it at your own risk.
I could do my own things with my...
What do you want? What things are you wanting to do?
The paintbrushes. I tried to do this. Paint, 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 paint.
Okay, so I got her apart now. I see that there are screws in the front side that I should have taken off, but I didn't. I've got her where I'm at now. See right here in the front panel. As far as I could see right now, the inside is actually pretty clean. So again, of course, it was time to get my shop vac out and just vacuum every creak and crevice that I could find once I opened this up. I really tried to concentrate on that heating area on the opposite side that I opened from, and then I went and put it in the pipe. And what you see me doing here is there was suction all the way through the system from that ductwork tube that I had all the way to the exhaust line. I ran the vacuum on either end and could feel it, and then I even used my air compressor. Then it was time to try and attempt to get that pipe off once again. As you see, I used a pipe wrench, I used crescent wrenches, I used heat, I ended up using some PB blaster. Nothing was able to get that off for me. Alright, so it's time to admit defeat with this exhaust. I'm just going to have to leave it on there. I've tried penetrating like PB blaster, penetrating oil. I've tried heating it. I've tried everything I could think of. I've used crescent wrenches. I've used locking pliers. I've used all kinds of stuff. It's not coming off. So before I put everything back together, because I've done everything I know how to, and without knowing if the motor will work or not, we're just going to have to go try this. So I'm about to put everything back together. But as you guys are aware, this thing heats up. The pilot is in the front there. Heat comes through this line and goes into this area where the blower pushes it, and then it comes to this area in here, and this whole thing will be hot along in here. On this side is where one ductwork is for the heat to go through the camper. Here's another spot where the ductwork comes out. This is that opening you can see here. A lot of them have that open right there, so it'll blow hot air straight out. For whatever reason, ours had that covered up and closed off. Anyway, I used both my air compressor and the shop vac, and ran the shop vac hose from either side here, and I had solid suction. So I stuck the shop vac in here and put my hand over here, and it would like kind of close it off. Like you could feel it pulling all the air and feeling it good. Did it vice versa from both sides, because for there to be all of that on here where those mud daubers and everything were at, and it was all clogged up and blocked, which I think was what our problem was, but we're not going to know until we hook everything up. That means that hornets and things flew through here all the way through this system and into there and got themselves here. I believe. I guess it's possible they could have come in other ways, but that's most likely the way. So I don't know for a fact this is cleared out, but I shop vac'd it from both ends and got a little bit of stuff. And like I said, there was good suction, so there shouldn't be blocked off or anything in there. And once I get the motor back mounted and put this box back together, we're going to see if we can get into the front end or not and see inside there. I do know there's a couple like solenoids. We'll check those. I don't remember exactly what they're called. I'm not, like I said, I'm messing with this. I've just watched some videos and I'm messing around, but we'll check that out too. So let's get it back together. So of course it was time to start putting this thing back together. It took me a few minutes to get all those tabs straight and get the holes lined up perfectly, and then get everything sealed back up. From there, of course, I put a few screws back into it. And then it was time to put that sail switch back on, make sure it was in good shape. Use the air compressor and clean up that motor just a little bit more. Now I'll tell you guys, I didn't intend to make this a series, but I think it's going to be valuable for some people that are working on these Hydroflame furnaces in the future. I know I sure would have appreciated a really in-depth look at this, and I've just done a lot of exploration and I've figured my way through it, but if somebody had shown me beforehand, I might have known what to look for a little bit better. There are some videos out there, but I just think this is going to be beneficial to really get in depth with it. So I think not getting into the computer stuff or the furnace burner or the ignition and whatnot yet today is going to be a good place for this one to stop. So like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for the rest. Well, I was just trying to put everything back together. I was kind of crunched for time as it is, and I'm getting this hose back on, and then I looked over and saw that. I don't have another hose, so I think that's going to be my stopping point for today. So I guess it is what it is. We'll have to finish this another day.